first time for CLA Summit? Or have you heard about my presentations? Okay, because I don't know if you've heard this. It probably is all lies, but I tend to talk a little fast and give tons of information. Just a little, yeah? Oli has a great video of us doing a 7x7 where I basically get a presentation that could have been 40-minute long in 7 minutes. So, hopefully, I think they are recording. When this is posted on YouTube, you can replay it in like 0.5x, and you can pause me and then replay it again, okay? So, you're in for a ride. My name is Fabiola De la Cueva. People call me Fab. Some Americans had a really hard time saying Fabiola, so I just say it's Fab as in fabulous and modest. Emphasis on the modest part. I founded Delacor in 2006, and you know, I really don't like titles because I told the joke once that if I had to put founder on my business card, I also had to put janitor, secretary, not the financial person because that's him over there. But anyway, some customers seem to think that if I put that, kind of helps business. Anyway, Delacor is a small company in Austin, Texas. We focus on helping teams that have realized that LabVIEW is not just growing, and it's not that just thing that is really easy to get to talk to hardware, but that they actually doing software engineering. And most of the LabVIEW developers, how many here are computer scientists by trade? Yeah. So most of the LabVIEW developers do not have that background, and we help them figure out best practices in software engineering. Things like what source code control. How many here use source code control? I am talking to you after this. You should. All right. We also do hardware design consulting, and we have two products on the LabVIEW Tools Network. One is a product that we did for schools. That's a lock-in amplifier for my Rio. And the other one is DQMH. How many here use DQMH? Wow. How many here know about DQMH? Okay, that's good. So we actually put DQMH on the LabVIEW Tools Network as a marketing thing. I think it has worked. I want to make sure I give thanks to these people. I bounced off ideas of this presentation. I wanted to make sure that it was a presentation for everyone here. One of the things, I think I'm the only non-NI employee that has been to every CLA Summit except for the India CLA Summit. And the reason I come here is because the more I learn, the more I realize how little I know. And it's these events where I get to learn from a lot of people that are smarter than me and know a lot more about LabVIEW. And I get, like Stephen said, my homework for next year. And I also been able to find great friends and people to bounce off ideas. So if this is your first CLA Summit and you thought, hey, I made it, I am a CLA. I just don't need anything else to learn. Hey, welcome. Okay, so first thing on the feedback was, who are you calling a monkey? Apparently that seemed to be a little bit too despective, pejorative. So I want to clarify something. No, I'm not calling your peers monkeys, okay? That's not what I had in mind when I came up with that title. What I had in mind when I came up with that title was this cartoon, and I'm dating myself here. They had in the Flintstones, they had animals working behind the machines. So my idea is this monkey inside the computer that you're telling it to do things. So when I say how to train your monkey, I'm really talking about LabVIEW. Although probably LabVIEW would not be happy with that either, so I've been trying to come up with other concepts, and I decided to call these How to Train Your Dragon. All right?
It's a copyright violation.
Well, he's facing on the other direction. It has kind of like that. So why LabVIEW scripting? LabVIEW can write VIs faster than you. VIs always write VIs the same way every single time. VIs write VIs faster than you wire VIs, and yes, even faster than Darren Nattinger. And VIs don't get tired of writing VIs. They also don't ask for food, money, bonus increases, nothing like that. So Where are the places that we use the scripting? Quick drop plugins, right-click plugins, also known as shortcut menu plugins, VI analyzer test, tool menus, that's where the Delacor tools are at, custom project templates, sample projects. Okay, I'm putting project providers to stay away, but if you dare to go and play with those dragons, I would point you to Alan Smith, because he did the project provider, all the stuff that you see, right-click on the project for Actor Framework, that's him.
It's all voodoo.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where you need to contact, I think it's Robert De Rosier in the room? Well, you need to contact someone from LabVIEW Tools Network to get authorized to use it. And it's one of those things where you're playing in the attic and there are lots of nails, and these tend to be a little bit rusty. Now, X-nodes, like Stephen Mercer said, are a mythical animal that you shouldn't even try to talk to. Okay. 5 steps to become a VI scripting media. This is 3 presentations in one. The first section is going to be how do you learn scripting. So how many here are already creating a scripting tool? All right, so I can pretty much, how many of you have never created a scripting tool? Okay, so I'm going to go super fast on this section because the majority of people already know it. Second section is we're going to talk about the return of investment. How many of you have a problem justifying spending time creating scripting tools? Okay, so then I'm going to go away. Okay, maybe we should have a debate and get a little bit more feedback on how you justify it. And then the third section is I interviewed Darren Nattinger, and I got his top 10 tips for LabVIEW scripting. Okay? So like I said, I'm going to go really fast. For those of you who have never done a scripting tool, I recommend you Google 5 steps to become a VI scripting ninja. And then the first hit is a blog from a small company in Austin called Delacor. And it's the 5 steps to become a scripting ninja. The first step is you have to enable VI scripting. It doesn't come enabled by default. Now, disclaimer here, historically, scripting was an unsupported feature. Like you couldn't call an AE and get support. I called the LabVIEW PSC to make sure I was not going to say something that wasn't right. So he said anything that's fully documented is supported by an AE. So you should be able to go through the traditional channels. All of the secret brownish color things that I'm going to be showing, those are not supported. Okay, second, how many of you use in a regular basis or visit or trust the LabVIEW shipping examples? Yeah, so let me tell you something. That I know, like 5-6 years ago, they were not that useful. They have done an awesome job of cleaning them up. And there's new examples, and in particular, the scripting is made as a tutorial. So you can actually go to the help topic, that's the Programmatically Scripting Vis in LabVIEW, and it guides you to the steps to create the shipping examples. So you can actually go through the concepts and learn by yourself how to create scripting tools. So if you are one of those people like me that actually like to read a book on code manual, this is actually very well done, and I recommend you go check it out. And while you're there, maybe you want to explore some of the other examples and realize that actually NI has done a good job cleaning them up. And if you find one that you don't like, let Darren Nattinger know. Okay, so that one, for example, is just showing you how to create a VI. And there was a concept of how you open a VI, and then the actual example, and it guides you to the example. So if you don't want to learn through the tutorial, you can go directly to define examples. Same thing, programmatically controlling VIs, and editing and inspecting VIs is going to be the scripting section. So here's a little GIF that shows you the paths to get there. Some of these examples on the blog post that I mentioned, the videos actually go and explain about 5 of these examples, but you can see that they're very well documented. They have the little numbers with the labels. In this particular case, we're creating a new VI and adding the subtract, and then it automatically appears on the block diagram. All right, so I recommend checking out the shipping examples. Number 3, join Quick Drop enthusiast group. Quick Drop drops functions faster than going to the palette. But it also calls the scripting tools, right? How many of you use the shortcuts from QuickDraw? Yeah, everybody. It's like, how many times you use the Control-R to remove and rewire something, or Control-P to replace, right? Or Control-D to create controls. Now, one tip here, don't reinvent the wheel. There's already a lot of tools out there, and if you Google list of community QuickDraw keyboard shortcuts, you go to the community, and there's a list of the ones I think Stephen and Darren have curated, or is it only Darren that has curated that list?
He's got the QuickDraw, I've got the menu shortcuts.
Okay, and then Sapphire, is Olivier right here? Yeah, Sapphire has a QuickDraw package that includes these lists plus some that they have created. So that's also a good place to start. If you Google getting started with QuickDraw, you get two hits, the LabVIEW Artisan, which is Darren Nattinger's blog, and then the QuickDraw Enthusiast. What I want to point out here on the LabVIEW Artisan blog, there's a little piece of information where it tells you that on the resource dialog QuickDraw plugin template VI has the springboard to start a new QuickDraw. So you don't have to start from a blank VI. You can go here and you already have everything you need to create a QuickDraw plugin, and again, it's all documented. Now, what would be the decision to go between doing a QuickDraw or doing a right-click menu? If what you're doing is non-context sensitive and you do it dozens of times a day, then use QuickDraw. If it is context sensitive and you do it sporadically but it takes time, then do it right-click. Is that clear what context sensitive means? Yeah, okay. Number 4, join LabVIEW Shortcuts Plugins. I always joke that 90% of the actions in LabVIEW start with a right click. When I teach people Core 1, I tell them that anytime they ask something, I say right click. Like try right click first, and if that doesn't work, then try everything else. I might be exaggerating with the percentage. Probably the people from NXG have a better idea about that. Starting with LabVIEW 2015, we can actually expand the LabVIEW IDE. And if you Google AQs, which is Aristo's Qs, which is Stephen Mercer's favorite shortcut plugins, you get his list. If you Google Darren's favorite shortcut plugins, you get Darren's list. They're not the same. Alright, so if you go to LabVIEW Resource Plugins, pop-up menus, you get these little VI here that allows you to generate your plugin. And these VI is also available via the hidden gems. And it has everything you need. You define what are the ref noms of the controls that you're going to be able to operate with your right-click menu. And it all has all the labels and the bookmarks you need to fill it out. So again, you don't have to start from scratch. Number 5, join VI Analyzer Enthusiast Group. And there's a really good presentation from Darren. Unfortunately, I couldn't find this through Google. I actually had to send a message to Darren and ask him for the link. So that one, there's a link on our blog post to the presentation. I recommend it because he really went to the top job of showing real case scenarios where VI Analyzer found bugs that you would not have been able to find just on Visual Inspection. Now, one thing with VI Analyzer, there's VI Analyzer and then there's VI Analyzer Toolkit. NI, in its infinite wisdom, decided to name the two things VI Analyzer. So what's the difference between VI Analyzer and VI Analyzer Toolkit? VI Analyzer shows up on the menu if you have VI Analyzer tests in your computer. But VI Analyzer Toolkit adds the menu option to create your custom VI Analyzer test. So I had a contractor, we kept telling him, you're failing all these VI Analyzer tests. And he kept saying, no, I'm not. Until we finally figure out that he didn't have the Analyzer Toolkit installed, so he didn't have access to all the custom tests that he needed to have access to. This is another one where you don't have to start from scratch. There's already a template and it gets you started. And then there's a bonus step. Check out what is out there. There's like Convert Data System ExpressVI into DQMH code that uses scripting. Like I mentioned, Alan Smith did the actor framework, create message, and all that stuff. He also did a LabVIEW method viewer that if you are doing classes, even if you're not using actor framework, I recommend to check it out. What it does is when you list all the dynamic dispatch, it adds a preview of the block diagram. So So you can traverse through all the dynamic dispatch instances and see the block diagram. So again, Alan, another plug for you. I'm making sure you have a lunch date today. There's a VLT for LabVIEW from StudioBots, uses VS scripting to wrap your top-level VI with a nice splash screen. There's a VI box quick drop that I mentioned from Sapphire. That indeed a folding shortcuts game, so you want to learn all your quick drop shortcuts, you can do it with that game. Steve Watts in back there has a LabVIEW component builder, also known as action engines. So if you find yourself doing lots of action engines, he has a really nifty tool to do that. And of course, there's this thing called DQMH that uses the hell out of scripting. All right. So everybody ready to be, yeah? We are all scripting ninjas. The people that didn't know scripting, do you think you have enough homework to go get started? Yeah? All right. Second part of the presentation, determining the return on investment. And I realize now, last year I was talking about stop focusing on technical debt and start thinking of technical wealth. Apparently I'm on a track on finance terms here between technical stuff and finance world. So I actually had to go and search, how do you define return on investment? So it's the net profit divided by the cost of the investment times 100. Okay, pretty intuitive. But we're not talking about money here. So I needed to define what net profit stood for. Anybody wants to contribute here? Let's see if I got it right.
Time saved.
Time saved. What else? Fewer errors. Yeah, because we are human. Somebody yesterday was saying that why would I invest in running all these tools if I'm an excellent programmer? I've had that response from a systems engineer once where I was like, hey, can I see how your VI Analyzer configuration looks like? And he was like, I'm an expert developer. Why would I use VI Analyzer? And I'm like, because you're human. Just that. We all make mistakes. Okay, fewer errors. Anything else?
You save tedium.
You save tedium. Yeah? Okay, yeah, that's another one.
Okay. I wrote the active framework tools after I handwrote my 23rd message.
Yeah.
No, I'm done here.
Yeah. We created DQMH after, the third customer got how events work, but they were still calling us to write events for them because they kept forgetting the steps. So net profit, the ideas we came up with was speed. Code more in less time, which is what you guys were saying. Repeatability, no need to follow a checklist. The code ensures that every item on that checklist is done. And every item is done in the same way every time. And another one that I didn't hear, but like when I was talking to Steve about this presentation, is enforcing a standard. If you get audited, I don't know if there's Oli, right? If you get audited for your software and software practices, and you show that you have this repeatable way of doing this every time, I think you get an extra gold star, right, next to your audit then. All right, so that was net profit. So what would be the cost of investment? Time it takes to create the scripting tool, and then the time it takes to maintain the tool. You guys agree with that? Am I missing anything in there? No? Okay. Is it worth it? Well, it all depends on how many times you will use this tool. I think one of the things that Alan mentioned right now is like he made it when he was on message number 23rd. He didn't do it on the first message. And that's because probably the 10 first versions, you were still tweaking things. The next 10 versions, like, this is starting to be very repetitive. By the last 3, it's like, I really should script this. And that's how we felt about event scripting, right? Creating events. So when should we start asking about what scripting tools to create?
When you know what the process is that you want to do.
When you know the process you want to do, okay.
When you know you're going to do it many, many times.
When you know you're going to be doing it many times.
You're doing this the first time.
When you're doing this the first time?
First.
Oh, the third time. Yeah, the third time. Yeah. Now, if you're in a new project, in that project timeline, when would you do the scripting tools?
In between projects.
In between projects, so that will be at the end of the project. That's one that I hear a lot.
More or less in the mid.
What was that?
In the mid of the project, so when you have done some things some time and realized, oh, I need some support.
Yeah, good.
2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Active recovery.
In active recovery, okay, well,
When you're programming and you're not efficient during the whole time, there's like what I call active recovery programming.
so you're waiting for the customer to return something to you?
It's a brain thing.
Oh, the brain.
Not 100% productive.
Yeah, so actually I have one of the guys in our team, he loves scripting, right? And he could be doing that full time. And he realizes that that's not billable. So what we try to do is balance his workload. So he has maybe a week of billable stuff and then the reward of working on scripting tools. And that actually works really well. And sometimes he will self-manage. He will be like, really, I needed a break. And my brain was not into the problem at hand. I want to leave some scripting stuff. So one thing is to say at the end of a project, like in between projects. The issue I have with this one, this is the typical answer, but really, how many times do you actually go back and do all the tools that you thought about during the project? Zero. Yeah, exactly. During the project, you find yourself doing the same thing over and over, right? It's like, I need help. This might be a good opportunity to create a tool. And then this is the one that I don't hear often enough. And it's at the beginning of the project. So for a larger project, study what tools will help the project. And doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to build them at the beginning of the project, but you're going to make them part of the project extent, yeah?
It might be deliverables. If you're delivering a framework, if I'm going in, I need a framework for this organization, and I've got the casual LabVIEW programmers on team who are subject matter experts that can code for me, and the framework's awesome, but it has some stuff in it that might be a little advanced for that user. But if I can script in a tool, this is the big lesson from the framework, and I'm sure you saw in DQMH. If you deliver a framework without those support tools, you haven't delivered a framework.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to use it.
So in our case, DQMH came out to be because we got hired after working like for 9 years with the same customer and telling him, please, let us refactor the VI. Like, we're really tired of helping you fix all these fires with the VI. And we started analyzing the spaghetti code, figuring out where the meatballs were that we could actually extract and use to make a nice meatloaf instead of the spaghetti code. We identified that there were going to be about 20 modules that we were going to need. We were already comfortable with our architecture, but the customer's team was also going to be joining us on the development. So that meant we had CLAD, CLD level, and the CLAs on our team. And we needed to find a way that all those different levels of proficiency would be able to work together. So the offer to the customer was, we're going to write the project code anyway for you, so you pay for that. So he paid for project template creation, for all the templates, for the fire event and all that stuff, and we paid for the scripting tools. And then one tip that I've been giving you, some of you, we built that into a package since the first release. So he had to press agree on license. That's our IP. We're not charging for that, we're keeping that IP, and we're going to be recovering and using it later. So this is just a thought. I know some of you don't work in the consultant world. If you work for a company, it's also a good way to kind of like say, okay, I spend this much time, and I can tell my boss that last project took me 30 hours, and this project, it's taking me only 10. And it's not because I'm getting better, it's just because I'm not reinventing the wheel. Okay, so, yeah?
Just bringing together what Nancy said yesterday about standardization, and what Alan just said, it might be also when you create scripting tools, when you're standardizing, because when you're standardizing, you're kind of creating a way to work.
Yeah, and also when you want to make sure that everyone, we wanted to make sure that we're all speaking the same language. So even just standardizing on what a request was, what a broadcast was, even deciding that those were the names we were going to use was part of figuring out how the toolkit and the scripting tools were going to work. All right, so I'm going to show you a tool that we created, and my apologies, because this was something that didn't bother me until one of my customers put on their style guideline that they wanted the arrow wires to always be on the background. They didn't want the arrow wires to obscure information that had to do with the code. So the normal operation is you select your error wire and then you push Ctrl-Shift-J or go to the menu and do it, and the error wire goes to the background. My apologies. After he told me that, I started seeing it everywhere. So what happened was one of the members of my team got tired of me pointing out that error wires needed to be in the background during code reviews, and in one of those, how did you call it? Active recovery. One of the tools he created was the Fabiola pacifier. So the Fab pacifier, it's a tool that moves the error wires back. So I'm going to show you.
Can I get this tool?
Well, I'm going to show you how to make it. So you should be able to make it. And I'm going to go super fast because I'm pointing on this video the items that you, like kind of like the overall ideas, and then I'm going to slow down on the parts that make sense, although that didn't work. Let me go back. Where's the play? There we go. Okay. Okay, so we go to the resource dialog quick drop. We open the VI template. I'm adding it to the project just so I could right click and create new from template. And you can see that I'm deleting the stuff that I don't need. I need to get the diagram reference, and I need from the reference to find, make sure I clear the selection. So I'm not having anything that the developer had selected before. Now I'm going to be looking for all the wires. So on the block diagram, I'm looking for all the wires. And then from those wires, what I care is to make sure that they are of the type error wire. So once I change it to error wire, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. So I'm going to go to VI Analyzer Tools, and that's where the video is going to slow down. And we're going to go to the Add-ons, Analyzer Utils. So don't reinvent the wheel. There's a check type if error cluster VI already done. That's going to tell us if the source, which is the first terminal on the wire, is an error type wire. And then if it is, I'm going to use the beautiful conditional terminal in the for loop. And if I have an empty array, that means that I didn't have any wires to process. And if I don't, that means that I have it. And then the only thing, here's really where the magic happens. So here's where I need to push them back. So I make my selection of all my wires, and then I move the selection back, and then I clear the selection, and then I just tell LabVIEW to be so kind to mark these as an undo in case the developer decides to undo the operation. So really, our magic is those three properties and event nodes, right? Those three nodes. Everything else is making it work. So you can go to the presentation and then watch the video in slow motion. The next thing is to figure out where to put it. So the nodes tell me that I need to save it in Resource Dialog Quick Drop Plugins. And I didn't name it the Fab pacifier, I just named it the Move Wires Back. But you can name it however you want. And then it tells you to go to the VI description, tell the people what is it that this tool is going to do, and it tells you to replace the money sign there with the letter that you want to use for your quick drop. So we are choosing E, and this example kind of works. I have two error wires, one on the producer, one on the consumer. I do Control E, they get pushed back. I realize that that's not as evident. Also, the presentation has a snapshot. So if you don't want to sit there and watch the video again, you can just go to the snapshot. I made this GIF with showing multiple wires, and I think if you look at the last wire and the end, the object wire, you'll see that it's pretty evident there when the error wires go back. So again, my apologies. One more OCD thing to worry about.
So, bonus tip. You take that and put that in the VI Analyzer test.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to remember to do it. You just wire it up and you run your VI Analyzer cleanup.
So there's two schools of thought. NI's school of thought is VI Analyzer does not change code. All of the VI Analyzer tests that ship with LabVIEW do not change code. That's NI's way. Delacor way.
Darren will tell you to do that though.
Yeah, Darren will tell you, but like the official, the list of all the VI Analyzer tests that ship with VI Analyzer do not change code. What we do on the custom VI Analyzer test that we sell our customers as part of their software engineering tools, we have a couple like this one where we do change the code, but we feel like we're not changing the behavior, so that's okay. The other place where we use a VI Analyzer test that changes code is to change all the terminals to icons or change all the icons to terminals. Why do we do that? DQMH, so next time you create a DQMH project and you have icons instead of terminals, it's not our fault, it's your fault. Because when we did the project template, we decided that we were going to respect your environment. So we built the project with all icons, so both icons and terminals will look good. If your computer is set up to show icons, then when you create a new template for DQMH, it will have icons. If your computer is set up to have terminals, it will have terminals. Now, do you think we enjoy working with icons? So we have a VI Analyzer configuration test that prepares project code for project templates and goes and changes all the terminals to icons. So we are happy developers working with terminals and yet provide a tool that will create icons. Okay.
Do you do anything to separate out those analyzer tests that are actually cleaning stuff up, or is it just part?
Just via configuration file. The question was, do you do anything to separate those via analyzer tests that make changes? We self-select by CFG file. So for example, an internal CFG will not do any of that stuff. But a pre-release will do things that we want to make sure the customer doesn't see. Also, we have a difference between a CFG for an executable, where the customer will never see the code. Not that we're messy or anything, but we're just not so worried about certain things if the code is not going to be seen by the customer.
Yeah, so those are not run by continuous integration, you just run them by yourself.
You
can change the code, at least the layout, let's say.
Yeah, if you're going to be changing code, you probably want to do it on the development branch and not on the continuous integration. Yeah, because then you have to add more explanation to your push. Yeah, and that's why you have different CFGs. Like the same project, the DQMH project has probably 5 or 6 VI Analyzer configurations, depending on where we are on the project. Okay, so the time to select, right-click, and move back the wires, I timed myself, it was 4 seconds. The time to create that VI, it took me 15 minutes. Probably Darren does it, he will do it in 5 minutes, but it took me 15 minutes. Calculate how many, and big part of those 15 minutes was remembering where the error, is it error VI was in. So calculate how many wires to push back for the tool to pay for itself. So 15 minutes divided by 4 seconds, that would be 225 wires. DQMH singleton module main, just the main VI, has 96 error wires. So I would have to do 2.3 modules for the tool to pay for itself. Or like my teammate said, you just have to survive 1 code review without me pointing out that the error wires are and that pays for itself. Okay? All right. So the return of investment for a quick drop tool is lots of little actions add up to less time coding. They also ensure similar style among the team. And I have this thing, I mentioned it yesterday at dinner and to some of you, I have this thing where I like LabVIEW to be the enforcer and not me. And somehow my team, I don't know why, but they rather have LabVIEW be the one that reminds them that they're not doing something that they should be doing than me reminding them. I really don't know why. Preventing a bug from biting again. So this is another place where you could be looking at scripting. So what do you do after you fix a bug? So raise your hand if you just move on. Hey, you're all lying. So what do you do after you fix a bug? Raise your hand if you start doing a deep analysis of how I can prevent it from happening again. Yeah, that's right. But that's why this year I didn't bring Post-its. Okay, so I have this example happen like 2 weeks before the presentation. We filed a JIRA case that said error when building the executable. The error said the build was unsuccessful, possible reasons, a VI broke during the build process from being saved without a block diagram. The extra notes, we had tried mass compiling, deleting the object cache, the project does not have any VIs with errors, the VI has a block diagram, runs with no problem in dev mode. Any ideas? No? This is what happened. There was a conditional diagram disabled structure that had a broken wire in the runtime engine frame. So it wasn't broken in the dev environment, but that frame caused the VI to break when building the executable. So We fixed the error, but we also created a new Jira case. Implement broken runtime engine code VI analyzer test, right? So preventing a bug from biting again. We created the case. We kind of said this was the situation we were in. We want, when we have time, when we have, what was that, active recovery time, we're going to be creating that tool. And then we're going to make sure we add it to the VI analyzer CFG file for pre-release or pre-build. So why do we do that? The time spent debugging the original error, by the way, this is a good thing of tracking every single minute we spend on things, because for this presentation, all I had to do was go and look at the Jira case and look at our harvest and figure out how many hours we spent on this. So we spent 6.25 hours on that. The number of team members involved was 3. The cost to make the broken runtime engine code when we eventually got around to make it was 2.5 hours, and that included packaging it with our custom tools, packaging for all our customers that have the analyzer test, sending in the release. Time to start an existing VI analyzer configuration takes less than 1 minute. Yes, I know. It takes long to execute. That's why you have different computers, right? Or that's why you can leave your VI analyzer test running overnight. Or that's why you have continuous integration. There's several ways to get around not sitting there waiting for the VI analyzer to finish.
How does, so you create the broken RTE code thing, how does that fit in with your technical wealth kind? Because you're assuming there that you're going to make the same mistake again.
Yes.
In your technical wealth.
So we are here. Yeah. So in a household environment, we every winter go and wrap all the, how you say that, faucets on the outside of the house. Taps. Yeah, taps. So if it freezes, they don't break. So why do we do that? Because we already know somebody had it, and we all remember to go do it.
Yeah, you can't prevent the weather from being cold.
Exactly. Can you? So that's actually a good question. So if it happens to me again, I will remember. I have great memory, maybe. What if it happens in the future to a new team member? How do I train those new guys about this? How do I start building the knowledge base? Yes, I have it documented in Jira. Is the new guy going to think about going and searching in Jira if that error has happened again? No, right? Okay. So when is it time to create a project template? So that was the reason. This is because I might remember, but a future new member might not. This is also, some of our VI analyzer tests are used as training for the new members. Okay, when is it time to create a project template? So you get a new project, you're tempted to copy the existing project because it's very similar to what you have already done. You already needed it twice. This is being the second time. So Peter was saying, no, you wait until you need it the third time. We actually do this when it's the second time, because I probably will need it again. So the steps are copy project, strip project of everything that is specific to this project, and then your next step would be to save it as a new project. What we're saying is no, save it as a project template. Create a product that's that project template. Add a Jira tracking stuff for that. Start your new project from the template, and as you are progressing on the project, file bug and improvement cases against the project template. That's how we have now several project templates. Because if we find that we are tempted to go copy a project that we already did, there's a chance that I'm going to need that again. Now, some of the consultants and firefighters that I have been talking to during the week tell me every project is different. You'll start seeing that there are things that are very common. Showing the EXE version on the front panel, closing the front panel when I press the X, having a configuration editor. There start to be things that you have in every project. They might look different. They might have different buttons, different starting points, but all your projects start to have the same elements. So if you look for LabVIEW custom project template, you'll find how to do that. I was going to do a case study, and I even asked permission to Nate to use one of the CLD exams, but I decided that I thought we could do just a thought exercise. If I implement a project with DQMH, it's going to take X number of hours. If I start with NI.LV.Editor and add all the event scripting support that we have added to DQMH, it's going to take Y hours, which is probably going to be more than the X hours. And then if I start from scratch, it's going to take C hours. So the net profit here is the difference of hours between doing it completely from scratch and starting with DQMH. If the cost of investment, meaning the time it takes me to do, is equal to the net profit, I'm even, but for the next project I already won. So DQMH probably did not pay for itself on the first 2 projects we did, but now it has paid for itself like 10 times, right? Not only to us, even to some of you that use it. And by the way, the people that have bet your Alliance member business, consulting business on DQMH, we understand that and we appreciate your trust and we continue to improve the project, the product. So the return on investment for custom project templates, knowing how long it takes to create a module, knowing how long it takes to start a project, and then all projects have a common foundation. We love time and material projects, but we no longer shy away from fixed price because we're able to say, okay, we know this is the base of how long it's going to take. All right, so I just wanted to show here, this is a new feature in DQMH 4. We added the option to create unit tests for existing requests and request and reply. So what this is going to do is creates a setup here, creates a teardown, and then it creates your test DI already with the event structure there and the instructions of putting, configuring for the stuff, configuring for the error, and then finding out what is the broadcast that informs you that the test actually happened. So if you want to go check it out, if you're using DQMH, this is something that a lot of people tell me, we love the fact that we have the DQMH API tester, but why is it that you didn't go the way through unit tests? Well, now we have. They're not created when you create a request, you have to go back and create them. They are unit test framework agnostic, so you can use it with VI tester, you can use it with UTF, you can use it with your homebrew test framework. And it creates a unit test for regular requests and requests for reply. So the DQMH 4.0 is in beta, and you can go to our blog to get it. Another new feature we added, we have a new scripting tool to create a real-time DQMH API tester for DQMH clonable modules. And you can ask, Jorg has actually used it on real projects, so thank you. All right, so for the sensei secrets, I have like 5 minutes, so definitely people we're gonna have to go watch them online. But some of Darren's things that he gave me was a script as few new wires and objects as possible. Sam made the same comment on his presentation yesterday. Start with a template that already has as much common code as possible. So this is the template for fire event, for example. Find a number of possible different selections of code. So what we mean by this, and this example is contrived, but we wanted to drive the point across. If you have different segments of code that do different things, you templatize all of them, and then during the scripting tool, you select which one is the case on the case structure of the template that you want to show, and then just remove that case structure. And when you remove the case structure, that code in that frame stays wired, right? So that saves tons of time. All right? So that's a cool one. Another one is object labels, and then use the hidden gem tref find object by label to get the reference. This is why DQMH has these crazy labels everywhere and a note saying please do not delete them, otherwise the scripting tools do not work. The hidden gems that I'm talking about is the VI server and scripting palette, so I recommend getting that. The other one that Darren told me was use traverse for G objects to get the reference to all the objects of a certain class in a VI. Don't use the controls array property, don't use the all objects array property of the diagram, because they don't recurse into nested objects. Okay? So that's another one. Another one is don't use the OpenVI object reference. I know I told you to go to the examples, and a lot of the examples show this, but you really don't need to do this. You can use traverse for G objects or find object by label instead. Don't waste time closing your references. And if you want to know more about that, see Darren's brainless LabVIEW presentation. So an example would be, the examples actually show closing the G object reference. You don't need to do that. Number 7, don't modify any of the objects with special labels. And I think we have shown this to other people. You want to tell people why is it that that label is there, and if your scripting tool depends on it, let them know not to delete it. Scripting is fast. Don't worry about doing a bunch of traversals. Chances are the thing that takes the most time is actually opening references. If you have the VI and the scripting tools take a long time, that's your code, and you have other problems there. When creating new VIs or modifying existing VIs, always open them in the context or the application instance where they normally belong. VI-based tools launch from the tools menu, like our tools, load and run on the LabVIEW Editor. Now, one disclaimer here, this brownish thing is not supported by NI. So if you include it in your code, please password protect it, and I'm going to tell you why. This is an example where we use it. So how did I get that brown app property node? I did a search for private feature in INI LabVIEW, and I'm not going to tell you what the INI token is. So anyway, that's how it turns around. So the reason I told you to password protect your VIs, if you give your code to someone like a customer and they don't have that INI token on, these brownish things look yellow. So they don't have any indicator that they're using something that they shouldn't be using. So that's your just password protecting, not because you're password protecting the intellectual property of NI, it's because you're protecting your customers from them hurting themselves using something that they should not be using. To learn more, Google 5 steps to becoming a VI scripting ninja, our blog, the Artisan blog, Programmatically Scripting Vis in LabVIEW, the LabVIEW scripting group, and then all of those forums.
I would suggest posting a custom analyzer test to the enthusiasts group, because Darren will take a look at it and find 17 things in your tool.
Yeah, so and that's true. Actually, we have added, so Jörg created a VI Analyzer test and he submitted it to the VI Analyzer enthusiasts, and basically Darren did a code review of it. And then once Jörg addressed all the issues there, we were like, okay, we are going to recommend these VI Analyzer tests to our customers now. So tools created using LabVIEW scripting makes us more efficient, more productive, more reliable, and allow us to focus on solving the problem at hand. This is my main thing. I want LabVIEW to be the one that is encouraging you to do the right thing. When people approach me at NI.LV and said, thank you for DQMH, one of the first things they said is, I finally get in test-driven development. I finally get in pushing myself to figure out how I'm going to test this thing, how I'm going to modularize it. Okay? So, thank you to everyone. See you on September, because like I said, these are the opportunities for me to learn all the stuff that I don't know and get my homework. So I'll be there, and I hope that you guys join us and share all your knowledge. All right. Thank you.